2 years ago, the Earth was hit by the largest gamma-ray burst that humans have measured.
Last October 9th, the world was suddenly bombarded from outer space. We just didn't notice. Yet other satellites like Integral from the European Space Agency and observatories around the world instantly registered a burst of gamma rays.
You would be forgiving for not knowing this or simply forgetting it, because unless you're a scientist or a space nerd, it's not that meaningful of an event. But this is a large amount of radiation out of space hitting Earth at random, which sounds terrifying. So what are gamma-ray bursts, and should you be scared of them? Now to start, gamma-ray bursts, or GRBs for short, aren't some kind of space lasers that will hit people or create craters in the Earth. GRBs are, as the name suggests, bursts of gamma radiation, radiation similar to X-rays. They most likely come from the creation of black holes, and how dangerous they are is highly dependent on how far away from Earth they are created, with most of them being way too far to have any meaningful impact on our planet. So how likely is it for these bursts to occur close enough to actually be dangerous? And what effects would they actually have? For a burst to affect us, we'd have to be pretty close to the origin of the burst, 8,000 light years or less. Although that sounds pretty far, on a universal scale it's really not that much. On top of that, within the Milky Way there should only be one burst every couple 100,000 years. Based on this, astronomers have calculated that the Earth will only be affected by a gamma-ray burst about once every 5 million years. So really there's nothing to worry about. But what happens when one of these bursts does happen to hit the Earth? Well, then it's time for mass extinction. And that's not even an exaggeration. Scientists consider it to be quite likely that gamma-ray bursts were a contributing factor to some of the historical mass extinctions, including the late Ordovician one. But if these bursts aren't space lasers destroying the Earth, how do they cause mass extinction? Gamma-ray bursts are absorbed by the atmosphere. At first this might sound like a good thing, given that absorbing radiation is an important way our atmosphere protects us. However, the large amount of radiations absorbed from a GRB will ionize the particles in our atmosphere, creating nitrogen-oxygen components, which in turn kicks off a chain of chemical reactions which will eventually deplete the ozone layer. For those of us who were born this century and don't remember the man-made hole in the ozone layer, this is bad. As in really bad. As in international superpowers agreeing to do something about this in a matter of years, levels of bad. The main concern of ozone depletion is UVB radiation, a type of radiation that is normally stopped by the ozone layer and is particularly dangerous for life as it affects our DNA. Which means if the ozone layer is destroyed and this radiation starts hitting Earth, it will most likely be the end of humanity. So yeah, at any given moment there's a chance humanity will be wiped out. Though if you're very lucky, just maybe, you'll turn into the Hulk. If you enjoyed any of this, do consider subscribing. Things can only get better from here because this is only my first video. And let's be honest, they're not gonna get any worse than this.